Hello, everyone. Michelle Galliard here from F8 Wealth Centers, and I am happy to be back on with you guys. It has been a little while. I have been, bogged down with a lot of back-end stuff at the office, getting all these new offices open. So I'm excited to be here with you, bringing a new message. And I am talking about, so in our team right now, in our lives right now, we're kind of playing with talking about boundaries. And I started assessing in my mind, what does that entirely mean and how does that pertain to your health? So in my how I live my life, I like to say that God comes first and then family, right? And then whatever else, business and, other things in life. But in order to put your family first, you really need to be putting your health first, above family, or you don't have much to offer to your family. So really, health is at the top of, or needs to be at the top of your list of priorities. And how you show up for your family needs to be, a top priority in order to show up from a great place. So back to boundaries, we're talking a lot about how to create boundaries in our team, in our business, with our family. It's not just telling your spouse what to do and saying, these are my boundaries, It's where are you setting boundaries for your own self? So before we can set boundaries with other people, we have to be able to set them within our own selves. And some of that comes from what I always talk about, the negative self-talk, the limiting beliefs, all that stuff. It comes from beginning to train your brain, flip the script, I always say, and be mindful of the way you're treating yourself. It's also setting boundaries for what you will allow yourself to do. So if you're doing one of the programs with us, if you're doing one of the cleanses, you have to have boundaries with yourself. It's not just willpower. We have a book, Willpower Doesn't Work, because the theory of that book is it works for a little bit, but it can't work long term. You have to have goals, strategies, plans in place so that you are more likely to create the outcome that you're looking for. In order to do that, we have to be setting boundaries with ourselves. So one thing that is really helpful for me is setting goals for myself. So if you're doing a health transition in your life and you're looking for a particular outcome, it's really helpful to create that outcome in your mind. So for instance, we just had spring break, right? And sort of last minute, within a month before, we decided we were going to my beloved ocean. I'm from the ocean. I'm ocean fanatic. So we were going to the beach. We were going to Florida. And suddenly there was that, the winter thoughts of, okay, I want a goal of feeling at least comfortable in a bathing suit so that I'm not feeling like a hassle to be able to do things, with the kids, feeling like, I'm going to be all uncomfortable and I'm going to feel all bloated or flabby or whatever. So in my programming, I set a goal for things I was going to do in order to create feeling comfortable on the trip. So I changed my diet some. For me, don't take this as health advice. For me, I take out all carbs, I go keto, and I up my exercise in a healthy way, still in my heart rate zone, and still only about 20 minutes, but just making sure I get out there moving every day. So I set boundaries of what I will and will not allow myself to do. One, I'm not going to sit there negative self-talking. There's no hope. There's no way I'm ever going to accomplish this. What's the point? That's not going to work so well. I set boundaries on not allowing limiting beliefs. Well, you're always going to look blah, 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 or you're always going to feel blah, 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 or it doesn't matter if those are limiting beliefs, right? So we start controlling the brain to not allow those things to happen. That's setting boundaries. It's as we take the steps to make positive affirmations rather than the negative affirmations that we're already affirming in our mind. When we are not controlling our thoughts, we are affirming negative thoughts. That's just period. When you're not controlling what your mind is saying to you, you're letting your brain, the monkey brain, control what you believe, control the way you live your life, control the way you make decisions in your life. So setting boundaries with your mind, with your decisions, with your daily thoughts is how you start training that mind. And it's the only way you will eventually accomplish goals is if you are controlling those thoughts, those beliefs, the talk. Those are my big key ones. The self-talk, the limiting beliefs, and our daily thoughts. One way to reverse that is doing daily affirmations. So any I am that ends in something positive and true. Anything that ends in negative is a lie. So I am powerful, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am healthy, whatever, those are truth. Whether you're seeing them in your life right now or not, they are truth and can be accomplished. So the way we show up is based on the boundaries that we set and the boundaries we set with our mind. So there's also that the boundaries of what food I would allow in. I'm not allowing, I have really strict boundaries myself on food that I will allow into my life because a lot of people say, my gosh, that must be hard, you're so sensitive. I'm like, no, I know what it feels like to feel like near death, and I know what it feels like to feel good, and I will never intentionally do that to myself because I just don't have, time in my life to feel like crud and be in bed feeling like crud purposely because I chose to just enjoy a donut or it would totally be cinnamon rolls if I'm being honest. But I know what it feels like to feel good, and that becomes my boundary. I see myself as living my best life, my healthiest self, because I choose to. I set that boundary that I will not allow that temptation because it's just not worth the pain. So that, that's the same mentality that can be put into any aspect of your life. It's not just what food you choose. It's sometimes challenging as I'm rushing out the door. My sweet hubby makes breakfast for me, which is very sweet, and all the boys. So that's done. And dinner, is its own thing. But lunch is my thing that's like, I got to get out the door. I've got to get out the door to the office or get to what I'm doing. I know that I have to bring my food because I set that boundary that I'm not going to go to a junk food store. And I don't really have time in my life to go to even a natural food store. I'm going to bring it with me. And that's one of those, like, gosh, that is really hard, but I'm going to set that boundary that I have healthy options on hand, that I grab those healthy options together. It's pre-planning, right? Pre-planning in order to set the boundaries that help us accomplish what we want to accomplish in our goals. So I can't see on this one if there are comments, but asking yourself, are there areas in your life that you are or are not setting boundaries? What would that look like to set boundaries? It comes from within. It comes from internal certainty. It comes from internal confidence. It does. But starting with your own self, starting with a small little area that you could set a boundary before taking it to the boss or taking it to your husband or wife. Starting with your own internal boundaries. What do I want to allow? What do I not want to allow? What do I need to bring into my life or take out of my life? So if we have super unhealthy friends, if we have just negative influence coming in that's continuing to feed that negative self-talk, a really healthy boundary would be to at least find a way to close that away, at least find a way to reduce that negative impact in your life. It's about, honoring and loving yourself enough to decide what you can and cannot allow. So that's food, that's, terrible music, watching the horrible horror movie that someone wants you to, but it's going to give you nightmares. That's every aspect, any aspect that you can think that bringing in a boundary will serve you. Yes. So that's it's a quick tidbit today, but thinking about boundaries, how that can be brought into your own internal life and how that can be brought into your goals for your health and how to accomplish that. It was awesome to see all of you. What I can see of you, basically, I'm talking to a computer and you can see me. But again, Michelle Galliard from F8. I run MindCore and MindCore Method as well through F8. And so you can check me out at MindCore or at F8. And it's wonderful to see all of you. Have a wonderful, blessed day.